Hi, I'm Dr. Zelania Allen, President of the National Entrepreneurs Association. And today I am here with Monica Morgan, founder of Monica Morgan Photography. And this is going to be a great interview. I've really been looking forward to this. She is the popular vote winner of our 2022 National Virtual Pitch Competition and the valedictorian of Cohort 2 Entrepreneur and Certification Program Bootcamp. So welcome, Monica, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
So like I said, I've been looking forward to this interview. There's a lot to discuss. First, I want to start by talking about the National Virtual Pitch Competition that is put on by NEA and Dell Technologies and Comerica Bank. You came in as our audience vote winner. How did that feel? Were you surprised?
I was surprised. However, it was a great feeling. There were so many outstanding pitch contestants that I was very surprised. However, it was a moment that was very special to me because my project obviously touched some people. So that was a great feeling.
Absolutely. And speaking of your project, tell us a little bit about yourself, your business, and the product that you pitched.
Well, for over 3 decades, I've been living life through the lens of a camera, documenting historical events, historical people, icons, and now I'm also speaking about it. Well, I took advantage of the pitch contest because I kept thinking, these photographs are inspiring to someone. And I thought about young girls. Young girls need to know that it's okay if they're not perfect. It's okay if they've made mistakes. It's okay if they're not exactly where they think they should be. And so when they look at these images of people that I photographed with many stories, little bitty stories about them, it will let them know that they too can find their place. They too can find their superpower. And as a young girl who was an introvert, and I still am, trying to figure out what it is that I wanted to do in this world and what my purpose was, I realized that by reading about other famous women, those stories helped me to find my place.
Wow, that's incredible. Now, you just mentioned that you're an introvert, and I've heard you say that before. And I study psychology, so I know a lot about introversion, extroversion. And what you just said speaks to motivation. I think if people focus on their motivation, what motivates you, I think that's a great way to push through any fears or reservations that you may be having. So you want a nice prize package. What do you plan to do with that? How is that going to help you further your business goal?
Well, I am planning to take the prize money and pay someone to illustrate the young girls in my book, which will be a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old. They're actually my cousins, Gia and Morgan, and they're going to be looking through big portrait frames in a museum of some of my work of people like Shirley Chisholm and Coretta Scott King and Rosa Parks and many others in various different categories. So I need an illustrator to actually put them into a cartoon form or an illustrated form, I should say, and then to be able to put my images on a page where they're looking at it. And then I need to add the stories. So it's going to go in the production of the book.
All right, that sounds awesome. And I wanted to ask you because you talked a lot about what you got out of the pitch competition. What would you say to entrepreneurs who want to enter a pitch or are considering it and they're afraid or that fear is holding them back?
I'd say go for it. If you can convey your heartfelt message, your message that pulls at the heartstrings of someone else, then that in itself is an accomplishment. The other things, the financials, the categories that the judges require, you can put on your PowerPoint and then do like me, work on Zoom and master it, and you'll be okay.
All right, that's great advice. There's so many advantages to pitching. Like I've said many times, you're going to work on your pitch in a way that you wouldn't if you were not competing. So I recommend it for everyone. So congratulations again on your win. And now I want to switch gears and talk about the Entrepreneur Bootcamp and Certification Program that we put on with Comerica Bank. So I mean, I feel like you started the year on fire. Like you signed up for the boot camp, came in first in that as our valedictorian, and then you entered the pitch and you placed in that. Did you have like a New Year's resolution, or is this just how you normally operate?
It's how I normally operate, but of course, there are always New Year resolutions. And basically, just my affirmation was to move forward, and that's what I'm attempting to do. And the NEA cohort came around at the right time, and also it was in alignment with some of the things that I wanted to do, and that is to be a better business person. Being a photographer, being a photojournalist has been very, very fulfilling. I fell into it. I also fell into being a business owner. Didn't think that business would be an area I'd go into because in high school, I thought I wouldn't be good at it. I was better at theater and the arts. So to actually realize that my business is what's important and how I'm able to do what I do, that taught me a lot. And what I mean by that, some people think as a photographer, you go to photography school and you'll be a great photographer. There are a lot of great photographers out there, but if you don't have business skills, if you don't know how to network, if you don't know how to market, if you don't know how to pitch, and when I say the pitch, a pitch might be that elevator speech when somebody says really quickly, what do you do? You're riding up that elevator and you've got to be able to say it concisely and on target and on point in order to get the job or to be considered for a job. That's the kind of pitch I'm talking about. So all of those things come together to make you a better business person. I've been doing this for over 30 years. The business is constantly growing. I mean, of course, there's some lulls in it because summertime is not the kind of time for the photography that I do. I basically do corporate, I do brand images and the like. But I realized that so in the summertime, I can do other things. I can teach. I can put programs together that are beneficial for others. So it's all about that business model and
Yeah.
knowing what it is that you want to do.
So that brings me to another question. I've been a fan of your work for a number of years, and I feel like photography is a gift. Like you have to have an eye for it. I've been at events and I'll give someone my camera and ask them to snap a picture, and I get it back, and I'm like, oh my God, what were they looking at? Like the people are off to the side. So, did you train for that, or is that something that you could just do naturally? Take pictures?
I fell into photography. I didn't train for it. However, I had a mentor, Harold Robinson, who was the first African American hired by a major daily newspaper, who took me by the hand and said, hey, I'm going to help you. And then I would read books, I would go to art museums, and I would just look at photographs. And the best part is simply doing it and getting better at it. I look back at some of my original and starting out photos, and I'm like, what was I thinking? But I realized it started to evolve. So, yes, you can have a gift and that gift can take you to other levels, but you can also just have a desire to learn. And if you apply yourself, study photos, and just keep pushing that button and finding out more about the functions of the camera, you can get better at it.
Okay, awesome. That's encouraging. So, I wanted to ask you about your biggest takeaways from the boot camp. There's so many components to it. There's 9 modules, there's the interaction on Facebook, you have accountability partners, and on and on. So, what were your biggest takeaways?
Well, one thing that I keep saying over and over again is alignment. And there was the session where we learned about if it's not in alignment with what you're trying to do, then you shouldn't do it. So
Mhm.
that is very important to me. And I'm able now to say no to things that in the past I may have said yes to. So being in alignment with what you want to do, having an accountability partner. Tanya Williams was my accountability partner. And I talked to her in the past in passing. However, she was amazing. And we worked well together. We're still in touch with each other. And we still push each other, congratulate each other, and hold each other accountable, which is an amazing thing I never thought I would find in this cohort. Also, as a creative, I hate anything financial. I hate numbers. I do not like them, but I know they're essential and they're important. So learning about the financial components of a business and then thinking about different things I needed to do financially. One thing that I did right away was go to a bank, get a trusted banker who called me today, as a matter of fact, to let me know she had moved to another branch. And when I was meeting with her, she talked to me about my needs, and I found out, okay, why not? I'll apply for a business credit card. I did, I got it, and I'm using it. So that if I hadn't been in the cohort, I may not have done those things when I did them and as I did them. So I'm very appreciative of that. And just every week, learning different parts about business, coming together with like-minded people. That in itself is extremely important. You know, people who get it, people who know what you're going through. That means a lot. And then Zelanya, your leadership. You're tough sometimes. You can be tough, but you don't play. And that's what's important in business is that you say, okay, these are the different things you need to do, and you hold people accountable. And that's important. So I've learned from you, I've grown from you. And I want to say thank you for that as well. And when you were my coach going back to the pitch contest, oh my gosh, you made it easy, seem easy, but then you also told me about the difficult steps that I would need to go through in order to achieve. And I appreciate all of that. And we did it quickly, but you prepared me. So thank you for that as well.
Wow, thank you. I've heard that I'm tough before, but I just don't believe it. I think I am the softest person, but I guess if people keep saying it, it must be true. But my goal is to help people, and I think you have to be real and give them the honest truth. And maybe sometimes people don't want to hear it, but later they thank you for it.
Mhm.
So finally, I want to ask you, what is your vision for your business, your product, and what kind of legacy would Monica Morgan like to leave?
Well, my vision is to do more of the assignments that are in alignment with my vision. And my vision is to continue to document events, to take people who were not at those events to them and help them experience everything that I experienced while looking at those events through the lens of my camera. Also, to take the images that I shoot, that I document, and turn them into tangible products, books, workbooks, textbooks, posters, things where young people can grow from by looking at my images of various people who are doing things that are in alignment with their purpose and their goal. And what was the last part?
What type of legacy would you like to leave?
Is that she gave her all. She cared. I care about people. And so when I see someone who has a business idea or a product in mind or something they want to do, I'm that cheerleader saying, no matter what it is, you can do it. Eliminate any negative what ifs. Get rid of people in your life who tell you what you can't do. Now, sometimes there'll be people who mean well when they say you can't do something only because they can't envision themselves doing. But those people who are just haters, if you will, and they tell you, oh, you can never do that. Oh, you can't. Get rid of those people and believe in yourself and surround yourself with like-minded people who will help take you higher, lift you higher, and help you discover your superpower.
That's great advice. And I love the project that you're working on for young girls. We really need that, especially today. And I can't end this interview without thanking our sponsors at Comerica Bank and Dell Technologies, because without them, all of this would not be possible. Any final words for them or our audience?
Well, thank you, of course, to Dale. I got my shiny new computers the other day. And that was a great thing. And also to Comerica Bank for giving me that financial push that I needed to get my financials in order and to be better in the financial part, because that's what business is all about, growing and getting better.
All right. Thank you, Monica, for joining me. And I look forward to seeing what you're going to do with your mentoring program and your book for girls.
Thank you.